So it's locked. There's no comments. The screen is kind of blank for me, so I have no idea what's happening right now.
I just see
So
you and Jamie, that's all.
can you see anything? I
I don't
think
see
we're live.
It says live on my side.
Does it?
It does.
Yeah, it says live at the top.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get to I see hearts coming in. Myra? Hi, Myra. Okay, we have 5 watchers. Okay, so we are coming online. Yay for us. Hi, Miss Chris. How are you? I know, I'm very proud of myself. It doesn't take a lot to make me excited. I figured it out. I got us live. Oh my goodness. Okay. Myra sees us all. Can you guys see the comments coming in?
No, I see comments not available, it says on mine.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't show it on mine either.
Or reactions. I can't see reactions or comments.
Well, awesome. Well, heck. I don't know how to fix that. Says speaker view. Can you see anything now?
Just you and Jamie, that's all.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. Well, all right. So I am in control.
You're on.
I'm on. All right. So I will just say that there are about 43 people on here right now. And there are lots of hellos. I usually go through and call everybody by name and say hi to them, but I think tonight I'm not going to do that. We do have some new people. Latifa is here. Hi, Latifa. And she says she's new, so she's not been here. Okay. Sonia is like, oh my God, this is so cool. You guys, this is going to be amazing. So let me just introduce to you, and then I'll let them introduce themselves a little more, but share with you who I have with me. So I have Mrs. Tonya Swan, who is a past life regressionist hypnotherapist. And so she's going to be talking to us a little bit about past lives. And then we have Miss Jamie, who if I probably should have asked you if it was okay to say this, but was a client of mine. Yeah. And we did a reading with her little boy. And through that reading, some stuff came up that kind of guided us towards Tonya. So you had a session with Tonya, and I'll close there and let you guys finish. So we'll let, who wants to go first?
You want to start where you started, Jamie, and then you came to me, and I'll take it from there?
Yeah. I guess after we spoke with you, Melissa, you did a reading with Wyatt. Yes. And kind of came up some past life stuff regarding war with Wyatt, which
lots of war. And can you share with us how old Wyatt is?
Wyatt is 11 currently. Yes. So
and what's going on with them? They might want to know the background of why you were doing the readings and the regressions.
And what brought you to me?
Okay, we started, actually, I won't make it a long story, just kind of go, but we started having, when Wyatt was 9 months old, he started waking up screaming in the middle of the night. We weren't sure what was going on. I thought maybe he was hurting because he would stiffen up. Just 45 minutes to an hour, couldn't console him. And doctor said it was night terrors, it would go away. 2 years, he's 2 years old. So fast forward till I think we reached out to you, Melissa, when he was 10. 10 years of no sleeping. Nightmares every night. He has never had any recollection of him. When he was about 3 was the first time he started talking. And I asked him if he was scared, and he said yes, and he was screaming, and I asked him what he saw, and he said planes and fire. And that freaked me out because a 3-year-old said, might be thinking about that. So it continued on like that, just thinking, well, maybe it's taking longer for him to grow out of these night terrors. But he started in with a fascination of military, very, very young. In fact, he's World War II popped up around 7. He started teaching himself German just on his own. And then couple years ago, it was Vietnam. Can tell you how the guns work, the names of them, anything. So one night, finally, I mean, we're exhausted. Wyatt and I have not slept for 10 years. And so one night he wakes up and yells, "We're all gonna die." And then he started sleepwalking too, and which really frightened me. So kind of, I asked one of my friends, talked to her about it, you know, kind of mentioned it, and she mentioned Melissa's name. And so we had a reading with Melissa, which was fantastic. It's all sorts of stuff popped up from there, and just kind of shocked me. I mean, I kind of knew what was happening with Wyatt, but it doesn't happen to me, you know, it doesn't happen to, it's things you read in books or, you know.
Exactly.
And I've always believed, you know, from very young, I've always believed in reincarnation. So it wasn't something that I didn't believe in, but I just didn't believe it was happening to us.
Right. It's hard to believe it until you experience it.
Exactly. Yeah. It made perfect sense though. And so after our reading with Melissa, that just kind of, you verified everything for us, kind of put it into motion, and sent us to Tonya.
Right.
Where
and
we began.
Tonya had been given to me. Tonya, you were given to me.
Oh. Who was this person that's being joined?
So my dear friend Laura, who is over in your area over by Issaquah, she and I talked quite a bit, and I'm always talking about, we got to do a past life reading. You need to do this. We should do this together. You should do this. I should. So she found you, and she had a reading with you, and had a wonderful, or I should say, session with you, and it was amazing for her. So she shared that with me. So even though I hadn't connected with you, I had been passing your name off to people because I trust her implicitly. I knew that if she trusted you that much and thought you were that amazing, then I'm okay. This lady's is legit. She's fabulous. So I did obviously check out your website and everything else too. But so that's how you came up.
Yes, and then I got a call, and we got the session together. And first, it came in for we did 2 sessions. We came in for the first session, and we went mostly into that very first time where he did the Vietnam. And there was a lot of stuff he saw, and he knew all these details, and he just came up with all these details, and people and planes and the way he died and just everything. I mean, it was amazing, the detail. At one point, it was really important. We saw the death of a friend, and that was a really big one because he knew that he was going to be killed at a certain point. I don't remember which life this was in, actually. It might have been in the Nazi one, but this was a real key place because he was absolutely frightened when this other person that was his friend got killed. And at the time, it really deeply emotionally affected him. And so we went through the scene, and then I asked him to go back. I said, Wyatt, I want you to go back to that, and I want you to look at it from a different perspective. I want you to go out of your body, and I want you to float and watch what happens to him as he dies. And he did that, and he watched the guy come up out of his body and how happy he was. And it totally transmuted how he felt about the incident. And so yeah. He took in that joy, and that just helped transmute all of the pain and the depression and everything that he got from going through that experience. And, you know, we did that with that one, and we rewrote a couple of others, but mainly we looked at the different wars that he was in. There were the 3. And the other one that he had where he was in the German life, he was in 2 in the World War II, and the one he was very very young. He was like 16 or something. He was very excited to be a young man and go to war for Germany and to be part of the cause. And he was just, you know, very naive. He didn't know what was really going on behind the scenes. And he was actually posted out in front of some of the stuff that was happening in the gas chambers. And eventually he did find out what was happening, and he was devastated. And he went into a depression that he really never recovered from. So, you know, he had some pretty traumatic stuff from those 3 lives. And that was very important for his soul, to come to this realization that he had done this over and over. And when he came out of doing these regressions, I was like, well, Wyatt, do you really think you should go in the military still? And he was still very convinced. In fact, it's all over his room, I guess. There's all this military stuff that he keeps. And I was getting this feeling that this wasn't the best path for him, having been through so much trauma already, that why he was remembering this was so he wouldn't do it again. So he wouldn't continue this trauma pattern. And so I said, why don't we? He said, yes, he thought he should do this. He should go in the military again. He was really convinced in this life that he should be in the military and do this all again. And I said, why? How about if we ask your guide about that? And he said, oh, yeah, that's the guide. So I put him back under, and he went to talk to his guide, and his guide was like, are you kidding me? No.
I love that so much. I just love that.
Yeah, Tonya
he came back out of that, and he was like, the guide's like saying no, so I guess I'm not supposed to do that. I said, well, Wyatt, what do you want to do if you don't go in the military? He looks at me funny, and he goes, well, I want to be a paramedic. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, go save lives. That's awesome.
Right.
Oh, that is. So does he still have all of the paraphernalia from the military stuff? Or
yes.
Or he does, he still holds on to that.
His room is very full of it. Yes. Yep.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
curious to see if that changes. I've wondered if it changed yet.
Right.
Not yet. But you want to know what the thing is that he hasn't been, usually he dressed up almost every day in his Vietnam uniform. Helmet, everything, every single day. And he hasn't worn that in some time.
That's so
amazing. It's so amazing what they bring in and what they remember. I know with my own son, my younger son, he was in Vietnam also. And when he was very little, he got an Air Force jacket and boots. And you could not get this kid to take the stupid things off.
Yeah. Yeah.
He lived in them.
So do you think that because, you know, most of us don't remember when we're little, we don't remember our past lives. Do you think, or did he share with you that he remembered his past life strictly because he needed to finally move through this energy?
Are you talking about my son?
Yeah.
Or
no, for Jamie.
Was that a question for Jamie?
No, I'm sorry. I was asking you what your thoughts were about that, why her son brought this through.
Absolutely. Yeah, he definitely was going through this and this torture to make sure that he wouldn't go back into his old patterns. Because since he remembered them, then he knew he wouldn't do it again. But it took a little bit of help. And if I hadn't helped him, I'm sure that life would have taken him to another place where he would have gotten the same message. Because he's just had so much trauma. He needs to heal.
Yeah.
He started a year before we actually saw you, Tonya. He was at 9 years old, extremely depressed.
I can see why. The things he saw, no one should have to see.
And we couldn't figure it out. I mean, he cried every day. He didn't know why. He'd say, I don't know why. I mean, he had even at one point said that he thought about killing himself, and he had a plan. And that
that's terrifying for such a little fella to have that pain. And you had him at doctors, and did they try to put him on medication and things like that too?
Yep, they tried their therapies, and they didn't want to put him on anything yet. We eventually had to, because his anxiety was so out of control.
Right. Well, That's some pretty
Yeah, and
deep stuff
sometimes
to deal with.
they get these things, they'll have triggers where something will remind them of something that happened before, and they'll go into a depression for, quote, no reason. But it's
Right.
just that they're having a soul memory of the emotion of what they've been through, even though they don't have a conscious memory of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going through this. It's not a few.
Oh
Right.
no, that's exactly why we're here, because a lot of people are having, and they don't know that it's past life stuff that's triggering them. They just think they're crazy or there's something wrong with them. And I don't want to put anybody down who's taking medication, but what I will say is I believe that our body's reaching out to us so we can deal with it emotionally. And my hope is if people are on medication, maybe they can find something like this that they can work through so that they can get themselves off of it. And I'm not saying get yourself off of it right now, but I'm saying if you can do a regression or some other modality of healing, that it's definitely worth it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Depression medications are so difficult. There's so many different kinds of depression. I worked with a psychiatrist for many years, and I did all the natural stuff with the AK, the applied kinesiology.
Yeah.
For the clients, and she did all the drugs. And we had some really good success working with people that way.
Oh, that's
awesome.
absolutely fabulous. And I would love to get into the kinesiology. I was telling you that before we started. I'm like, I am signing up for that because I'm like, that is amazing. I love doing that stuff, where you hold something and you can feel whether or not it's good for you or not. And psychically, it's something that I've been telling people to do too. You can ask your body if what you're taking is good for you, and it will tell you. We just don't, most people don't believe it. They think they're making it up.
You get convinced after a while.
So do either of you have any advice for anybody watching who may think that their child or even they are suffering from past life stuff, past life traumas, or how to know if it's a past life trauma? And that's probably better directed for you, Tonya, than no offense, Jimmy.
I would say for being a parent myself and having been through this with my own children and just in my own life, you just have to pay attention. And things that have too much energy on them for what the person has experienced is a big key. So if you just have a huge charge of energy on something that makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
Because they haven't had anything happen in this life that's a trauma, but they're acting like they're traumatized, or they're just way overreacting, or there's this really strong feeling that they get about something, like they don't like bridges, or they don't like trains, or, there's reasons that we have these things. So we don't like water. We're scared to get in water because, and we haven't, almost drowned in this life, but maybe we did in the life before. So, you look for these things that don't make sense. And then you also just listen, because they'll tell you. Children especially, they will tell you, especially when they're young. They remember. And
I felt like Wyatt
what they say.
I feel like Wyatt had a pretty good idea that he had a lot of past stuff. I mean, I felt like
good parents. This is important. He would not have come to my office if he didn't have a good parent.
I'm going to read some questions. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to read a few questions real quick here. So Allison says, does everyone have a past life? Now, my opinion is yes. I have never seen anybody who hasn't. How do you respond to that, Tonya?
Okay, that has several answers. Okay. Most people have been here more than once. There are some new souls. Souls are born all the time. I don't see them in my office typically. I see older souls or kind of in the middle.
More crap to deal with, more karma.
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't be seeking psychic things either. It's usually a level 3 soul or above that's going to start seeking spiritual growth like that. Okay, so you don't see that. But there are some that haven't had this life. This is it, the first life. Some people, and they're kind of unusual, are people from other planets. And they've been embodying
so glad you brought that up.
But not on this planet. And so they can get really kind of bogged down being here, because we have like 4 bodies, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. And on other planets, when I talk to people, when they get to these other planets they've been to, it's not like that. You've got 1 or 2 bodies, and it's a lot easier, and it's more loving, or there isn't the stuff we deal with here. And we also have a lot of random stuff. Some of these people come from planets where it's very loving and beautiful and kind, and they don't have the negatives. And they come here and they go nuts.
Yeah, because they weren't quite ready to experience what this world was throwing at them. Have you been able to pick up where they've come from when you do the past life?
Yeah. I
That
may
is,
ask them sometimes. Sometimes they just will say it's a long ways away. You know, Sirius seems to have a lot of people here. Venus, a lot of people here.
for Sirius, that really
Some
piques my
Martians,
curiosity.
too.
Do you find more coming from Sirius right now?
I don't know. Just I've seen a lot of those.
Okay,
Sirius
I'm going to
and
just check
are
a few more here. So finishing Allison, she says, well, you already answered the question about the new soul, and she says, and how do you know which one you are, if you're an old soul or a new soul?
Generally, by how you're acting in your life, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
People that are very spiritually inclined and they're seeking spiritual knowledge and that kind of thing, they're usually a level 3 or above. The younger souls, they get to the planet and they're like, oh, this is fun. We can drive cars. We can make money. We can have fun. Let's go play. Let's go play. And then after a while, they kind of get bored with that and go, is there more? That's when they're 3s and they start to look for other stuff.
Okay. And do you feel like they can, well, I believe we're waking up right now.
Oh, yes. I see a lot of that.
Yeah, boy,
Yeah, when I was young and I was 11 and I was doing all this spiritual stuff, nobody knew what the bleep I was talking about.
Right, and they look at you like you're a stinky cat, or they don't know what to do with you.
They were
right? Okay, so Denise is asking Jamie if your son sleeps through the night right now.
He does. He
Yay.
asked shortly after this.
How beautiful is that?
Shortly after our second session with Tonya, it just took him a couple nights to get adjusted. No more sleepwalking and sleeping through the night. So
that's so cool. That's so cool.
And that is so cool. But you know what's more cool? He has peace. When we finished, the look on his face, the peace in his being, that was worth everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That makes it worth everything. Just knowing that he can rest now, not just not just at night, but emotionally, it's putting that stuff into perspective for him.
Yeah, because he wasn't free to be who he is in this life when that one was haunting him like that.
No, right.
And his emotions were so raw from what he was having to go through all the time from something in the past. Yeah. Now he's free to be the person he is.
Yeah.
So Myra is saying, my daughter has so many fears and so overreactive and a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. Can be all different kinds of things. So, and it really depends on the soul. I mean, I get people that were, burned or died in really horrendous ways. And then I get people like the one I did the other day. She had a lot of great lives, really gentle, nice lives. And then now she's in this one in COVID and she's freaking out.
Oh,
her freak out is coming from the opposite problem. She hasn't been traumatized. This is traumatizing. But most people, it's some traumas they've been through. They've been through some things and they may not remember what they are, but emotionally they still retain it. And so they see these triggers and it triggers them and they know that it's a problem and they should avoid it, but they don't know why.
Oh, okay. So for Myra's daughter, now I do know some because she's a client. Her daughter, well, I should say Myra's brother is in spirit. And what I am getting right now is that Myra's daughter is connecting with him, and that's what some of the anxiety is over. So that is a little medium right there. Myra, I can't message you on this. I don't know why, but if you see that, if you could reach out and maybe we can look at that a little more. I'm going to go to a few more. So Latifa is saying, so you think you can remarry the same person from your past life? I do believe you could do that if you haven't worked stuff out.
Yes, absolutely. I did that in this life.
Did you? Yeah.
Trying to resolve the last one.
Yeah. You may be married to somebody that was your brother in your past life, or vice versa. You could be a male. That traumatized me a little bit when I learned that. I was like, this is so gross.
I was a man, and it was Yeah,
Yeah.
my husband,
Oh, yeah.
that's another one. He was my wife. Okay. It gets a little confusing sometimes when you're doing LDL
Yeah.
with this and you're looking at a couple of different lives and the current one, and you're trying to keep track of who was who, you know?
Yeah. Like, oh, and I've done some bad things, and that was really hard for me to come to terms with. Looking back at a few of them, I was like, oh, I am so sorry. And then you sometimes hold that guilt now. Like
Yeah.
I found myself, it took me a little bit to get over it. I wouldn't even tell people because I was so ashamed of what had happened in past lives.
Yep, we've
So,
all done stuff, though. I mean,
oh,
that's how we got where we are. We have
yeah.
these
That's why we
experiences.
keep coming back, because the karma keeps us coming back to clean that out. At least that's my opinion. What do you think about that?
Not really. I agree with that. Yeah, there is karma and there is that aspect, but really it's all about self-development. We look at the ascended
Ascension.
masters, the ones that have walked the path on planet and they've gone on, and they're our brothers in the heaven worlds and our helpers. And you look at them and you get to know them and you're like, oh my God, I've got to be like that. And so we come down here and we work to develop ourselves, to gain more compassion, gain more lovingness, and just to be better people in so many ways. And we have to do this experientially. We can't just think it. We have to go through the process of making mistakes and going, oh, that wasn't in my best interest, nor was it in the best interest of other people. That didn't work. Let's do this.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of that we go through.
Okay, I like that. Sherry says, hello, other planets. I was just thinking that today. Wow.
Yes, there are lots of them. Yeah, I've got lots and lots of them.
Well, and if you're thinking of that, that's your intuition.
Yeah.
So,
and the other thing is, we work together. So you were saying that, did I marry the same person? A lot of times you have like two primary soulmates that you tend to work with a lot and re-embody with. And there may be three, but you have a few that you do work with a lot. And you have a group that you work with over and over. And in between your lives, you plan out all of these scenarios that you can do to help each other grow.
yeah. And I tell people that in my readings, and sometimes it frustrates people, but even that horrible stuff that we see happen is here to help us, to help our growth.
Absolutely. And everything that happens. And I always say God doesn't waste a erg of energy.
Not a second
it's
of it.
amazing how it's all connected. And you can see it when you're on the other side. You can see all these connections and how it all works. And this would boggle our mind to think of it when we're down here. Up there, it's different. It can contain all that. But it's just amazing.
Yeah. I did I think I was telling you before we started that I spent a few years in therapy when this started happening, because I thought I was losing my mind. And I did, it was EMDR, emotional, gosh, I can't think of what that stands for, but EMDR. And one of the things she did was she had me do this float back, so I would go back into this lifetime and looked at something that was pretty significant. So, and this is going to be sad, and I apologize, but when I was little, I would spend a lot of time hiding in the closet from my parents arguing. So I literally went right back to that point as an adult when I was a little kid. And what I ended up seeing happening, because you were talking about how you can see the connections on the other side, through the EMDR, all those connections, everything that had ever been an offshoot of that pain that I felt in that closet just did this to me. And it was like, well, it almost felt like it just dissipated, just like that. I was like, well, shit, that was the coolest thing I've ever done.
Isn't that amazing? And you'll retain that now. It's in your soul memory. That's
Isn't
forever.
that,
all you learn and gain, you keep forever.
Yeah, isn't that just, it's just, when you said that, I was like, oh, that is so cool. And that can help so many people get out of this, and help them understand that they do have a reason for being here. And also that they're more powerful than they think they are. We give our power away a lot. And I think that what you do can absolutely help bring people back to and give them their power back.
Absolutely. I mean, just the realization that a lot of the stuff that you're upset about even or is affecting you a lot is past life. It's not even from this.
Right.
I can remember when I was building my house, I was absolutely adamant about this stupid window. I would not let the builder do what needed to be done with the house. He had to put this stupid window on my front door. Okay, so it's about that time I went to Ireland to see the house I lived in my last life. Guess what's on the front door? That window.
Or are you kidding? You went to the house you grew up in a past life?
Right.
Oh my, I wouldn't.
That in Ireland, this is significant because it's like a medallion that represents your family, your front door window.
That is awesome.
So I was going to have that on my front door, and that was all there was to it.
Did you get it?
Well, we modified it after I realized.
Oh.
So it's kind of a pain of that I needed that so badly.
I'm going to just check to see if there's any other questions here. So Arva's asking if you can quickly connect with her spirit to see who she was, what her name was, how she died. I don't know. Is that how you work? I think you take them through a.
Yeah, I've been inductive in my office. I help them to do it because I feel that it's really valuable for people to have their own experience without me telling them, but to find it for themselves.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Even if I can pull stuff up, I always suggest you need to go and do a regression. Even if you can't go and do it in person, do it online. Find somewhere where you can do that. Because I agree. I think
it's wonderful in what you do. I love that. It's just not what I do. And so when they come to me, this is what they're coming for.
Yeah.
So that's why I do it my way. I sometimes do get stuff and I have to shut my mouth.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm going, can you get it? Can you see it? It's right there.
And you want to guide them to it, like, here, just right there, go. I get that too.
He's standing in front of you. Yeah, that.
That's so cool. Okay, more questions. Angelica Gonzalez is saying Sirius and then B. I don't know what that means. Sirius is a planet or a planet.
Sirius is a planet, yes.
Yeah.
The God star. And there are a lot of people from there, yes.
Okay. Sherry is saying she's drawn to Egypt and Dutch.
Yeah, and the things you're drawn to are usually past lives that you had that actually you liked.
Yeah.
Or things you liked in them. So you're drawn back to those things.
Oh, Rochelle, sorry. Yeah, Rochelle is asking if you can explain the levels.
Oh, okay. So when souls are born, they're at 1. And as they go along in the development of their soul, over lifetime after lifetime, they move up until they're at about 5. And that's when they quit embodying. Because basically, if you've learned everything down here and you can master it all so easily, it becomes like child's play for you. And you don't really need to come back. So you want to go someplace else or do something else. And then you might be a guide, or you might work with teaching in the heaven worlds, or you may decide to embody, like some of the saints have done, to help those who are here. So does that help? Does that answer her question? She could read in Michael Newton's books. He talks about that in detail.
And Michael Newton's book.
Yeah.
So
his 2 books.
I'll scroll down and see if she's.
Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls are his really good books.
Stephanie is asking if you can meditate to determine what you're in a past life. You can. I actually know that you can do that with your guides. You sure can.
People could almost tell me what their past lives are sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, they've seen so much or felt so much.
Yep.
But it's easier under hypnosis to pull the information.
Allison is asking, did you have abilities in your past life? Which one are you asking? I would suspect we both have. If we have them now, I'm pretty positive I have. Do you feel like you did when in a past life? Tonya?
I did it. I had 3 aesthetic lives, and during those I definitely did. My last life, I had a little bit, but it didn't last long enough for me to use anything.
Oh, that was short and sweet.
Yeah, it was at 18.
I had one of my past lives, and the guide that I have now, James, was with me in that lifetime. I have a birthmark on my chest that looks like shotgun splatter. And in when I did my first past life regression, he showed me that I had been shot in the chest.
Yep.
And that I died in his arms. I was like, ah!
Yeah, those red marks are very common for where you've been killed before. My son has one on his rib cage where he was stabbed by the Chinese.
Oh, yeah. Is it shaped like that too?
Huh?
Is it shaped like a wound, like a knife wound would be?
Well, it's about that shape.
But yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah,
Wyatt,
especially since when he was born, I kept getting a vision over and over of him being stabbed. It was really not fun.
Oh, I would imagine no, that would be horrible.
No.
So okay, so we'll see if Stephanie Morrison says I'm definitely from another planet. I I,
Well,
I
welcome
think we,
to
I think most of us feel
I
like
hope
that.
you like it here. It's difficult.
Ashley says, I'm pretty sure I must be a soul 3. Chris is saying, this is awesome. Yay.
Yeah, you wouldn't be on
Oh,
this
this is,
if you were 3. You would not be on this call. You wouldn't be interested.
you'd be over it.
You've talked to 1s and 2s in your life. They don't
Yeah.
give a rip about this stuff. They're not interested.
Oh,
You can't take a kindergartner and put them in a college class. They don't get it.
you know, it's funny. That's what I say about horses too. When people try to get their kids to ride a green horse, a baby horse, I'm like, they're not teaching anybody anything. So, all right, I digress. How long of a process does the sessions take? Is it several sessions?
It depends on what we're doing. If we're doing past life, it can be 2 hours. We did with Wyatt, we did 2 2-hour sessions. And with the life between life, we usually do a past life or 2, depending on how much experience they've had and how well it goes. And then we do the LBL, which is 3 hours and a half.
Okay. How many lives can you usually go into in a past life regression?
I tend to do it that way, and here's why. If you open the door, you open Pandora's box, you will never forget what you learned about that life. So we want to make sure there's a reason that you're looking at this life, and it's worthwhile to look at it, because if you did something horrendous, you're not going to forget that. Okay, but if you
So
need
that's
feel,
what happened with mine is I did one where she had me write questions about what I wanted to. I wanted, because I don't know if you know this, but my son took his life. So I wanted to know what our soul contract was. I need to know why I signed up for this. But then I went into that other life where I did something really bad, and it was
yeah, and now you can't forget it. So I always say, this is not recreational, this is therapy. And so if you need it, you need it. If you want to do LBL, anybody can do that. Okay, so we're not focused on past life and LBL. We're getting into the spirit world. Meet your guides, meet your council, meet your soul group, go to the library, maybe look at some of your lives in the book where you don't have to look at all the gory details. But, you know, that's the most valuable. So going to the spirit world is one of the most valuable things you can do to realize who you are and that you're not just this one little lifetime that you think you are. You're actually, this is a page in your book.
Yeah.
When you get the perspective of this is only a page, it totally changes you.
Yeah, and when you talk about going to the library, you're talking about Akashic Records, is that correct?
Yeah, the Akashic Records in the library. You have a life book in there that has every lifetime you ever lived. So sometimes in LBL, we'll go into the library and we'll look through the book for certain things.
Okay. That is really cool. So, okay.
It's fun.
Yeah. So I will access those when I'm doing readings to get information for clients, which I think is really amazing. Oh, okay. So Ashley says, I feel oddly calm for the most part, and having that feeling of I am who I am and here for purpose is a big part. Yes, yes.
Awesome.
And Jody is saying she would like to do this one day. She's a friend of mine. Jody, I highly recommend it. and like I said, I've had one from someone else where I just felt like it wasn't, I don't know. I'm backing myself into a corner and I'm going to start backpedaling here. But I do feel like it's important to choose somebody who has a lot of experience and who can really help you through this. And I really feel like you're qualified to do that. That's why I wanted to have you on today.
Well, there's truth to that, there's also truth to other things. I had a client the other day who thought the therapist was no good. And then he happened to tell me that, oh yeah, he had just gotten a $3,500 bill that he saw just before he walked in there from the IRS. Before he walked in for his session. I was like, well, no wonder you had a bad session.
Right. You've already set yourself up for failure.
It's not always the therapist. Sometimes it isn't just in the mindset, or you're having a bad day, or, you know, your cat died, whatever. There's a lot of different things that can cause us to not be able to connect. It's just like anytime when you feel like you're connected and in the zone, you feel good and all that's working. And there's days where you feel like you're not in the zone and you're not connected and it's not working.
Yes.
So that doesn't mean you can't have a session. It just isn't going to go as well and as deep as when you're just in a better space.
Yep. And I think breathing really helps people. If I have some client come in and they're a nervous wreck, I'm like, in the nose, out the mouth. Let's just chill a little bit.
Breathing is key, and also preparation. I send people out some recordings for them to practice with. So that they have an idea of what it feels like. Because if you're going to ride a bicycle for the first time, you've never ridden one, it's hard to ride. But if you
Yeah.
have a little experience, then it's easier.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, that's fabulous. Okay, so somebody had a question that I really loved and I wanted to ask it. Oh, somebody was asking if you work, hold on. Hold on. Where did it go? Oh, do you work virtually? Yes, I know you do.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so yes, she does. So she does do this remotely. You guys, same way I do my little readings online, same thing. She can do those as well. Is there hypnotherapist on this side? Lori, she is, you're in Issaquah, yeah? She's in Issaquah. So that's Lori Jerome. And when she says this side, she's over on your side of the mountains. I'm in Yakima. You're over on the opposite. So I'm pretty sure she's on that side of the mountains too.
Yeah.
And then she says, how do you know they aren't charging too much?
What does that mean?
I think she's asking, how do you know if a therapist is charging too much? Well, I think that
Depends
there's
on the therapist and their experience level. They charge by how experienced they are and
yeah,
their
like
reputation and stuff like that. And some people do a per session charge and some people do per hour. I do by the hour. They pay for what they use.
and I saw your rates. I thought they were incredibly reasonable for what you do.
Yeah.
So
I agree. It's
yeah,
it's so worth it.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Make it reachable for people.
Yeah, I honestly don't know that you could put a price tag on that. Your little guy can sleep through the night and
Right.
he's coming into a better, oh my God, it's peaceful.
Period.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on that.
Yeah. So it's definitely, if you do want to go find a good one and then save your money, if it's a little more than what you were ready to spend, just save it. Save your money so you can go to somebody who's qualified.
Yes.
Shanette is saying, I have a birthmark that everyone always says looks like a shotgun blast. Well, that's what, yeah. Yep, I got a big one. Why would my 8-year-old daughter talk about death so often? Like literally breaks down into tears because she's so scared.
Well, something happened. Obviously, something happened before, and now she's scared of it. Or something happened in this life. You know, I had one client that came in, and it wasn't for this kind of work. It was actually AK work and stress reduction work. But she was in a situation in a village where a person died, and everybody went and looked at this person on this table. They had it laid out, but nobody talked to this kid. So she thought then, from then on, if she closed her eyes and went to sleep, that she was going to die.
Oh, no.
She stopped sleeping except when she absolutely had to, very few hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so communication is really important.
Yeah. So kids can, pick up something from the dog that died or whatever. So I would have a conversation with her around, well, what is it you're, scared of? What's going on there? And see if it's in this life. If it's not in this life, it's probably from past.
Oh, I think my internet's getting a little wonky. Hopefully we didn't lose anybody. Okay. Okay. Angela's asking if her guide's telling her anything. I'm not picking up anything for you right now, sweetie. Actually, that's not true online. I'm getting the name Sam for you. So just make note of the name Sam. That's for Angela Patching Tover. Renee says, I think I'm a 3 for sure. I definitely have been guided to be here slowly through the years. Okay. Renee, she's also saying new to all of this, so I'm intrigued and feel so excited and somewhat scared. Oh, don't be scared. Definitely feel like I have a purpose. Yeah, I tell people you have so much more power than you could ever I don't know if you could ever fully comprehend how safe and protected you are. And I think, especially for the little girl who's getting scared, she very well could be seeing spirit or sensing spirit. Yeah. I know when I first started feeling them, it scared the bejesus out of me because I didn't know what it was. And my mind went to, it's got to be evil.
Same here. They really shocked me.
And
the first time I saw it was my baptism, and I jumped up from the baptism out of the water.
If it was a baptism, was it Jesus? Was it an ascended
No, it
master?
was a group of souls that were like the ascended masters, some of them. And Jesus was not there, but there were a lot of these different ones, and they were very peaceful and loving and just amazing energy. But I didn't know where they were and what they were and where I was. Because I was in a different dimension at that particular point, and I was looking around going, it looks different. This is not Earth. I can't believe I'm here.
That's so cool. Okay. What does LBL mean? Life between
Life
lives.
between lives. So it's where you go in the heaven worlds between the lives and incarnation.
Yeah. So it's the time, it's before you incarnate. It's after you ended an incarnation and before you decide to go back.
Right.
Okay.
That's it.
Nicole says, I think I'm one of your nervous clients that needed breathing. You could be. So Barbara is asking, are our guides influencing us with getting a gut feeling about things?
Absolutely. 100%. In fact, a lot of what you think is your intuition is your guide going, listen to me.
What I always tell people, you think you have a great idea, but it's really not yours.
This is really true a lot. The guides are sometimes hands-off. We have the ones that are very active and involved, and then you have ones that are really hands-off. So it depends on the person and the guide.
Yeah. As I'm watching this, I just heard a man cough. I'm literally the only person here. I just needed to be hearing this today. Oh, that's Stephanie. Okay. Oh, Lori, who asked if there was one on her side. She's in Ellensburg. Well, that's not too far from you.
No, that's pretty close.
Okay. Jessica has a fish birthmark on her leg.
Huh. Tonya?
Oh, here's a good question for you because I've not been shown this. Have you ever seen people incarnate who were something different? Like an animal or a fish?
No, and I didn't see that when I was up there. I spent, I was up there some 300 sometimes every day for a year with my guide.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
In the world, and I didn't really see animals, so maybe they're in a different part. I know that they're available. I know that all animals that I have had interactions with are in a place, and they can come and interact with me, but they don't stay with me in that part.
Right. So I
have a lot of knowledge about that. I would actually like to know more.
Yeah, I have connected with animals who show me. I should say I've never had an animal show me that they've been human. I have had an animal show me that they were different. I had a dog show me that she was a sheep, and so when dogs approach her, she tries to attack them because she's remembering that life as a sheep where she was attacked by a dog. And so I know, I was like, well, that's the first. So but I've had people ask me if dogs can reincarnate as humans or animals, and I've not seen it.
Never seen
so I can't speak on it because I've never been shown that.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if they did and somebody would tell me.
Anywhere in the heaven worlds, and I haven't seen it in my practice, and neither has Newton.
Oh, okay. Stephanie is saying, my son has a white patch in his hair, not a birthmark. I've been told. Not a birthmark, I've been told. Have you seen this before? So he has a patch in his hair that's white. So maybe he has dark hair and then a little spot that's white.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. You get anything on it?
I do feel like a hit in the head. I do feel like it was Stephanie, was it like over to the right side? Because I wanted to go right here. Kimberly is saying, I find the birthmark so interesting. I have 2 perfect dots on my neck where I've been asked if I was bitten by a vampire. It could be a snake.
Yeah, it could have been a snake.
Is it okay to get an 8-year-old hypnotized? I'm glad she asked that question, because one thing, when I first started practicing, one of the people that I took classes from, she would tell us, we don't read children. We don't read children. And so for the longest time, if somebody brought a child to me, I would be like, nope. but then I was like, you know what? That's not right, because if I wouldn't have connected with some of the little kids, their parents couldn't have helped them.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, for the longest time, I would say no, I wouldn't read a child. But now I'm like, if mom and dad are there and they're present, I will absolutely connect for that child. Somebody has to help them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Person comes to you because they need help, so you help them if you can. Some kids might be too young and too wiggly to be able to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I probably wouldn't do a toddler.
See how they
I
can do it.
wouldn't. Right? Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so Cheyenne, the answer to your question is no, they're not too young. How about me? Latifa says, I always felt like I never had a guide, and I also had my second loss in 25 years. We all have guides. I've never been shown a person who doesn't.
Some don't from other planets.
Really?
Yeah, some of the hybrids don't have guides. That was a shock for me.
I'm like, what?
There's some of them, especially this one group, there's a group of them, and they're kind of like guides for each other. They kind of work as a group, but they don't have a guide.
Oh, so, okay, so say that again. They work as a group, but they don't have a guide.
They came from another star system, and they're here to help us learn about love. And as they're doing their work, they interact with each other on the inner, and sometimes on the outer, but they don't have guides like we do, which was a real shock for me. I thought everybody had guides.
Me too. I've not been shown anybody who doesn't. So
that was a weird one.
So I haven't read any of them yet.
Yeah, the hybrids is different.
But I will tell you that I do get a guide for you, Latifa. I do feel like you have multiples with you right now, and they're giving me 4. I will tell you, one of them is going to be very masculine. They're pulling me to that left side, and I wanted to do this to my shoulder, like I was pushing you forward. Like, here I am. Here I am. I can touch you. Oh, they're not rude. So, and then they're saying you need to listen, and they're pulling me to my left ear. So this is where I get my clairaudience is on my left side, whereas my own thoughts will come over on my right. So when they give me this, honey, you might be very clairaudient too.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Arva, she's just talking. She's been following me for a while. Had sessions. And through my sessions, I asked and just learned my soul purpose. If you are serious, connect with she's just giving me a thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. I appreciate you. Dawn, barely made it. Well, glad you're here. Betty says aloha.
Aloha. I just came from Kona.
Yes, I am. You did. I'm jealous. Jessica says, I was scared when I first started seeing spirit. It's a little overwhelming when something pops up and you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
I scare people around me when they pop in. Like, oops. Lori says, I must say, I must be crazy to come back here 9 times. Well,
that's not very many.
I think I've had a few lives. Like most 40, 50s. Can guides protect your family and loved ones, or do their guides protect them, and do my guides talk to my family's guides? I have a take on that, but I would love to hear yours too.
Guides absolutely can protect our family. Now, they're not going to protect you from something that you need to go through. You can, you got to go through whatever it is for your higher learning, whatever you decided that is.
Yeah. And they can't block free will. We have
tough. I just with a lady whose son was macheted to death. So it can be very, very tough for what lessons we've decided to do. And he chose that lesson. He came here to explain that.
Yeah. And that's really hard, because it's hard to wrap your mind around why would we choose something like that. And
the experience of what it was like to go through a violent death.
Yeah.
For his understanding.
Yeah.
And to put away the 2 people that needed to go to jail that were hurting people.
Oh, and see, that's another thing is the soul can absolutely opt out if they feel like they can help more on the other side.
Yes, there's that.
And yeah, that's actually what my son did.
But that was his time to leave. He just chose that way to go.
Yeah, yeah. It's an exit point. And I've talked about those here and there, but let's see. So I was just going to agree with what you said about guides. But I do also believe that they can communicate. I have had situations where I will ask my guides to connect with their guides to share something.
Oh, yeah.
I have some neighbors who I don't care for. And they do some naughty stuff over there. So I just asked my guides, can you talk to them about that? Can you have their guides? And then they'd stop doing it. So I was like,
oh, that's a great idea. I like
oh
that.
boy. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to say go beat them up, but you can say, can we figure something out here?
We have some parking Nazis around here, so our neighbors. So I just laugh at what they do, but that's a good idea.
I ask them to help me with tailgaters too. If I have somebody who's on my rear end, I ask my guides to ask their guides to have them back off a little bit.
That's a good idea.
I know.
I usually use angels for that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good one too.
That works too. I like the idea of the guide talking to the higher guide. It's kind of an Indian thing that we do in my practice sometimes, where when you can't talk to somebody about something because they won't talk to you or they're angry or whatever, you can sit down with them, pretend they're in front of you, and talk to their soul.
Yeah, I love that too.
Another way to do that. I like that.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Okay, so Kristen is saying, can I possibly get clarification on what my grandfather was trying to tell me the other night to find out if I had interpreted it right, and he wants me to tell my grandmother. Kristen, I hear hold off on that right now. Don't say anything yet. I hear give it more time. And then they're giving me the number 3 over and over again, 3, 3, 3. So I don't know if that's 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, but I keep getting 3. And then I get upset in my throat and my stomach. I kind of feel nauseated, like there's a lot of turmoil. So I suspect that it's frustrating you or you're getting a little wiggled by it. He's with you right now, so you can ask him to clarify that, Grandpa. Ask him again. He's talking about drinking water. He just gave me a glass of water. He said with lemon in it. I don't know if that makes any sense. Where are you at, my dear? We'll see if she'll respond. In the meantime, I'll read some more real fast. What did the people from the other planets look like? Everything you can imagine.
They're all different. And this is one of the hardest things that people finding out that they're hybrids and they're from other planets. And when we go there and take a look at it, they have different bodies. They can be all different kinds. They don't necessarily have a physical body. Sometimes they're more energetic. And so that's kind of hard to get your mind around. And the places where they live don't look anything like we do. And so when they find themselves in that space, we have to really fish around, because with our frame of reference, it's really hard to see this.
Right. Yeah, and then we get, if we let ego jump in there and then we start like, oh my God, we'll either panic or we'll start making things up or.
Yeah.
That's
the other half of it. You have to trust yourself. And go with whatever it is that's coming that you're getting these impressions of, because they don't fit our way of thinking.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because who thinks, there would have been a time where you would have told me somebody came from another planet and I would have been like, nope.
Same here. When you going there and describing it, you're like, I had one person that was like, she was in it was like a big building, and she was part of the building, and she was kind of like almost metallic or rock-like.
Oh, wow.
And there was a bunch of others with her, and they built together a structure.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like.
Like, what's happening? I knew I was crazy.
I'm trying to describe this to me. She says, like I'm part of something. It's large, and I'm a part of it, and I'm solid, and I'm like a piece of this whole. And she's just trying to describe it. It's hard for her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And for me too, I'm like, you're what?
What do you do when you find out you were a rock? Okay, it's 6:07, so maybe we'll take it one more question and then probably close.
Okay.
But thank you guys for being here. So I'll scan through real fast. So she says it was a very nice thing that he said, but I don't know if I got exactly what he said. I got the gist, I think. It was the 4-year anniversary of his passing. He gave me a penny and said, I think penny is pretty, but growing old is gold. Well, then I would absolutely share that with her. Well, I keep hearing not yet. I think you need to talk to your grandpa, sweetheart. I keep hearing not yet. Okay. All right. Contact for Tonya. I will get that for you. So she has a website. It is TonyaSwan.com. So TonyaSwan.com. Her phone number is on there. You can schedule through her website. Okay. Oh, here, one last question. Can we send someone we met from a past life?
Absolutely. The thing you find is that they feel like you know them already. Some people, you meet them first time and it's like your bosom buddies and you can just talk forever. Yep. And then in some people you're with all your life and you never know them because you don't have the soul memory. So the more you've been with them, the more familiar they feel.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you
so
much. Thank you, Jamie, for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. And thank you so much, Tonya, for agreeing to be on here and talking with everybody. I really feel like what you do can help a lot of people. So,
all right.
Okay, so bye, you guys.
Bye.